episode 3 of your House Our Rules Sports. We just got done with the NFL, doing our predictions, our thoughts on last week, and then us being Bengals fans, we got done with like a 25, 30-minute talk about last week and going into this week. So we do have another special thing. We want to incorporate esports. Your has always been a forum that we can talk about gaming. Joined by Stolzy, who as well as Shad have been on a couple of our gaming episodes, just doing that. Talked a lot about OpTic Gaming, and some big news came out today that our boy OpTic Scump is retiring from the CDL in competitive Call of Duty. And
Mid-season.
yeah, mid-season there's a lot of discussion about what was going to happen. They said that it was going to be his last year. They didn't perform as well in the first major as they wanted to. Decided to drop Dashy. Brought in Hugh. There was a lot of roster mania things going on. People trying to buy out contracts and stuff. Didn't end up working out. They ended up picking up Hugh. Now it's like a week later, and Scump decides to step down, and they're bringing Dashy back into the fold. So I mean, this is a big day. We were texting about before, and I texted you. I was like, this is the end of an era, man. Like this is the last of our era of Call of Duty players that is there. I mean, and it's
Just Clayster.
yeah. I mean, and even Clayster didn't play on a team last year, did he?
He got
Not in the
for half
CDL.
of it. He got dropped. He got dropped like
Yeah.
half quarters of the way through Vanguard.
Yeah, and I was talking a little bit more about, OpTic era, OpTic, because, I started with, like, D-Treats and Hex and Parasite and Predator and
Nade
shit
Shot.
like that. And Nade Shot was one, although I was never a huge fan of Nade Shot, to be honest with you. But then you start moving into, like, the big timers and stuff. Formal came
The
in,
GOAT.
who's in Halo now. Karma, who came and went. Embos came and kind of went. So a whole slew of professional Call of Duty players and personalities that have come and gone. And the last one remaining is Scump, and he released a video that he retired today. So, I mean, well, what do you got to say about it, man? Fucking, I legitimately cried watching that video. I have no shame saying it.
No, yeah, I did too. Like, I don't know if there's gonna be another athlete or anything that's gonna hit me like this, until Joe Burrow retires.
Yeah.
Like, Dead's like this dude is my Call of Duty idol. Like, he's the best Call of Duty player to ever touch the sticks. I don't care what anybody says. He has one ring.
Yeah, you're
Great.
not telling me any fucking different.
He's been hands down the most consistent player for 10 plus years
Mm-hmm.
over multiple titles and through multiple different teams, different teammates. He's played different styles in the game. He's ran OBJ. He's been a flex. This year he was running straight up AR.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had him at the very end. They took his dead silence away because I mean, and obviously it is the correct move to give Hugh and Shotzi dead silence.
Yeah.
That's the right play. But the thing is, when you're a dead silence player for as long as you've been a dead silence player, and especially in the last 3 titles where you have Modern Warfare 2019, Vanguard, and this game, where all 3 of them have dead silence as like a specialist, so you have
Mm-hmm.
to pop it. When you've been running dead silence like that competitively for like 2.5 years straight, and all of a sudden you got to pop over to trophy system,
Yeah.
it is so hard to remember to use your trophy system, especially when it gets
Yeah.
mixy, but B, to use it in the right spots. Because like getting
Yeah.
out of the muscle memory of throwing your trophy when you're thinking you're popping Daddy,
Mm-hmm.
and then your trophy's useless.
And we're
And
also
Scum
talking.
straight up said that he's bad with the trophy.
Yeah, and we're also talking about a league that is, it's a franchised league, and it's way more competitive than the Call of Duties that we know. That's why
Higher
a
than
lot
it's
of
ever been.
that's why a lot of the older guys that we grew up with are starting to drop out and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's why just last year you didn't see until the very last 2 events you didn't see a repeat champion.
yeah,
Every org was winning. Like, dude, Seattle came in and won. They won with a sub.
hmm,
Like, straight up.
yeah,
So it's like it's literally whoever is playing better for that weekend.
yeah.
That's all it comes down to. It's no different than the NFL where anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Right, yeah. No, and I mean
Like,
a lot of that has to
Subliners
do
won the first event. Who saw that?
exactly.
They were terrible in scrims leading up to it.
And like it's one of those things too where you're talking about like there's people out there who on a level like you're talking about comparing it with the NFL, which is a very close competitive is the word I'm looking for, a competitive league.
Right.
when you're talking about that, there's only like let's just use this analogy for it. There's only like 50% of the population that is even going to have the size. I'm just making that up. Is even going to have the size to play that, and then you got to go hit the other criteria to go down and down like that. When it comes to video games, there's a lot bigger pool to pick from, so that makes it even more competitive, especially when there's only like about a third of the teams that the NFL has in the CDL, and that'll probably expand, and it might grow depending on how they fucking look at things. But I mean, as sad as it is to see Scump going, it is that new era, and there are new things coming. And looking at the CDL right now, it is kind of in fucking shambles. So it's not an all too bad time to get out. I mean, man, when we were watching it the other day, looking at their first event where I think all this kind of started when they placed poorly or whatever, they were doing pool play, and it was like, what can you even explain to me how the 2-win, 2-loss thing works in fucking pool play? You have no idea how it works.
I have no idea.
All I know is they played the Mutineers, they won, they played Ultra, lost, they played the Mutineers again in pool play, and then they lost that one. Now they're out of the fucking tournament, finished like what, 12th or something like that.
The only thing I can think of is, so did the Mutineers lose after they played OpTic before they played OpTic the second time?
No, I have no clue.
See, like the only thing I can think of is if they treated each pool as if it was like a mini tournament.
Yeah.
2 and out. You go 2-0, you make it out. You go 0-2. You know what I mean? First one to not have 2 losses. That would make sense to me. Other than that, it would just have to be round robin, where it's like you play everybody twice, and then you go based off map count. And I don't know.
I don't know, man. But my thing is, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Pool play has worked for hundreds of years across many sports that have team-oriented games. Soccer's been using it in the World Cup for fucking ever. Why do we need to fucking introduce? Yeah, why do we need to introduce all this new bullshit into the game? And I mean, that probably had a lot to do with, Scump's decision to step back from things. When it comes down to it, he's an older player. His reaction times aren't as good. The league's changing. It's starting to come to all these fucking bullshit-ass times. I know he wants to play, but us following OpTic, you get the sense at the end of it that, like, the dude's just done with all the bullshit in Call of Duty.
Mainly just the game. Yeah, that's all it is. It's the game. The game's just not there competitively.
Yeah.
And if the game was there competitively, like, he wouldn't even have like questions of retiring. I don't think. Yeah. Like, he dropped in the weekend event that just happened. He dropped a 1.22. Like, literally his last map.
He's still got
his last map. His last clip ever as a pro was a quad feed against Boston Breach.
Yeah, and we've heard
and it was clean.
I've heard Hex say it a couple times in the past couple of weeks on like the podcast and stuff like that. He's like, the kid still got it. He still wants to play. It's just
the game sucks.
The game sucks, and like he can't deal with the bullshit anymore. And now we're talking about him having to fucking, like, not him. I'm not going to put it all on him, but like they have this team. They decide to stick together. All of a sudden, they don't place well. They decide to get rid of Dashy. And he said on stream, I've seen the clip 1,000 times, he's like, do you guys really think that I want to deal with this in my last year of Call of Duty? Having to do more roster fucking changes and then do that? Because even if you do bring Huke in, then you have this whole fucking level learning curve that you have to learn in order to get to fucking a point where you can win in a league as competitive as this. At the end of the day, it does make sense for him to step down. And, he said in the video, too, he's like, God damn it. He says, Dashy, I'm falling so you can rise up. And it's so true. And like, that just goes down to the like brotherhood that OpTic has. I mean, he's been with us for years, man. The dude did a fucking real player oriented thing, stepping down so that they could have a better team orientation. And, fucking the dude's a class act, man. The OpTic and Scump, like, dude, I was telling you before, like, this retirement.
Scump built OpTic just as much as Hex did.
Just as well. I mean, I'll definitely agree with that.
Scump was the content machine. Like him and Nate Shot. Well, I'm not going to take anything away from Nate Shot.
No, I'm not either. Even though he's doing his thing with LA, but all of them agree that like he's one of those guys. Hex was the one who started, and I mean, like, the first video I ever saw of them was D-Treat's Scrapyard dropping a nuke in Modern Warfare 2. And I know Hex was doing it in Call of Duty 4 and fucking Call of Duty 2 before that.
Hey, bro, I remember watching D-Treat's tryout on Hex's channel when he 1v1'd
Yeah.
on Shipment.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching it.
Dude, it's so crazy to look back at that. And, we're looking at that era. That's when I discovered OpTic. That's when I discovered quickscoping. Modern Warfare 2 was when I was really starting to get into video
Really
games.
alive,
It's when I
bro.
first started doing competitive video games. And, man, like, I was 15, 16 years old at the time. And, like, that was when I started moving into a point in my life where, like, I started fucking closing myself off. I was playing video games by myself. And fucking, it led to some serious issues that I had, man. And fucking, I was depressed and shit. And as things are going through, I start discovering the OpTic, and they start growing. And then all of a sudden, they're doing the COD team. They're doing the 60-50 thing, and like, these guys genuinely helped me get out of a very, very dark point in my life, man. And like, I have nothing but gratitude for them and all their people. And like, I wish Scump and all the other guys that are in OpTic the best of luck moving forward with their organization, man. I know they're gonna fucking kill it and continue to kill it, but I mean, like, just fucking the amount of gratitude I have towards King Scump, man, is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I tweeted at him today, and I was like, and with his thank you for everything video, and I said, no, seriously, thank you. Like, you've done more for me than you could ever possibly know.
Ever.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, I'll say, like, OpTic changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, like, it got me into this gaming thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm into this gaming thing. Like, I'm into this gaming thing, arguably more than I'm into sports.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
me being an athlete took a back seat because of gaming.
dude, you were talking about
Straight
it,
up.
I think at the beginning or before, you were like, it was at the beginning of this, you're like, I'm not going to feel this way about someone retiring until Joe Burrow retires. And like,
Yeah.
we've been Cincinnati Bengals fans forever, like Corey Dillon, Chad Johnson, TJ Hushmanzada, like some of these names, and I'm talking like UK or whatever. We can talk about the Jody Meeks and fucking the Rajon Rondos and stuff. These are all guys that I saw growing up, but there was not a consistency that I had, like I've had with OpTic and Scump and shit like that. I've been watching these guys for over a decade now, and like the green wall, brick by brick, I will still fucking be there building this fucking wall with them, bro. To the day I die, I still watch the videos all the time.
I will run through. I'll run through it when Hex tells me to.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
You know what I mean? I'll build it and I'll run through it.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
care. Like, I follow Hex.
Yeah, I still will. There hasn't been one time since I've discovered OpTic that I've stopped watching them. I mean, I can't say that about every other team. Sometimes sports just get a little bit boring, but like outside of that, even if I'm not watching the competitive side of things in Call of Duty, because like the competitive sucks, I'm watching Warzone because there's that. And then, I'm watching Hex's vlogs. I love Hex's vlogs, man. Fucking I love watching their podcast. They've got all this content and shit, and I love every single bit of it. And it's just,
It's like it's still a professional organization where it's like the Bengals or it's like the Reds. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's still something to follow, and the insight to the organization that OpTic gives you is the most transparency that you're going to get out of any other organization that you could possibly follow.
Right.
Like, they took you inside dropping Dashy.
Yeah.
Like, and I know Dashy's got conflicting things, and I actually want to touch on that. Like, what Scump said to Dashy, like, I'm falling down so you can rise up. What it told me is Dashy really was the problem the whole time. And I don't think it's obvious, like they said straight up, it's not a skill issue. I think personally, like, just based off of what I've seen, I've never met Dashy, I've never talked to Dashy, but it just seems like it's an attitude thing for him. Like, it just seems like he's checked out sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, and
And it's-
I think a lot of it is Ray's fault.
yeah,
I think Ray's low key, like, toxic as fuck. Like, Formal said it best. Like, Ray was telling Shotzi how to play, like how he should play. And I'm with Formal on this one. Who the fuck are you to tell Shotzi how to play?
yeah.
That is Shotzi, bro.
He's
like,
not playing in the game, and to be honest
Rambo
with you,
never,
I
Rambo
love
never played the style of game.
right. I love Rambo Ray,
Ray-
man. He came up when
Rambo grabbed flags.
he was coming up when before I even knew what Scumpy was. Like, I knew who Rambo Ray
Right.
was before I knew fucking Scump. But at the same time,
Scump
he
started
hasn't
with Rambo.
competed in a game since what, fucking Black Ops 2? Yeah, and that's been like a decade now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2013.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that you're into coach, but your job as a coach is to fucking orient your team. Fucking make sure your guys are gelling well together, not tell people how to play the fucking game.
A COD coach literally sets up scrims, and tells you like the other team's break-offs,
Yeah.
which at the end of the day, as a Call of Duty player, you can do that by yourself.
Yeah.
They did it for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's already been
Yeah.
done. It just takes a little bit of pressure off of the players where all they got to worry about is pointing and shooting.
Yeah. And I don't.
So it's like that's fine, but you can't tell people how to
Yeah.
play,
And I don't want to point.
especially in a mixy game.
I don't want to point fingers at anybody and fucking try to bring people down. I think that a lot of that comes out of frustration because, we got the announcement that fucking Scump was supposed to play his last season. And I still want to see Scump play his last season. I don't care about winning fucking games. I don't care about fucking Dashy getting back. I don't care about the fucking team orientation. I want to see my guy fucking finish his last fucking year of Call of Duty. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and we need to move on and stuff like that. But it's frustrating to watch. All I can really say on that, man, is just the best of luck with the team because we're always going to be fucking Greenwall. It doesn't matter what happens. I always got Hex's back. I will always fucking support them. And, just because Scump's not playing anymore, man, doesn't mean that he's not going to be a part of that organization. We're still going to see a lot of them. It's a sad day for people like us because we've been watching it. We grew up with it, and it's the end of an era, and hopefully the beginning of an era that might even be better than that one. So
Yeah, and just to clarify, like we're both late 20s. Like
yeah.
we're the same age as Scump. So it's like
I'm a year older.
yeah, and so it's like we literally grew up the same time. Like we were doing the same thing that
Same
Scump was
era,
doing.
same
He was
generation, same
he was just
things.
himself. Like you got home from school, you went to youtube.com/Scump
Mm-hmm.
and you watched live commentary. It's just what you did, dude. Like it was everything. It's what you waited on,
Yeah,
man. Like
yeah,
you would sit there and Nate Shot stream until Scump got on,
yeah.
and then you would jump into
It and
Scumps.
it,
Like
it it feels like we've done the whole thing with them. And props to them for the amount of content. They always talk about the grind that they were doing, like back in the Black Ops 6050 eras or whatever. We were there watching all of that with them. Like, bro, I remember watching the Black Ops 3, which was outside of Modern Warfare 2, which he didn't compete with OpTic in. I was like, outside of that, that was my favorite Call of Duty title, and like I was
when he was
invested.
dropping 40
I
bombs
was
to TF.
invested in that entire year of CDL, that entire year, and to watch them lose to Aches again was heartbreaking. Fucking that year in champs, and then to come back and win it in Infinite, like it was something special, man. It's
Yeah,
just there's just a lot going on, a lot of emotions, man. I think that we can end it here. Um, fuck, man.
I know, man.
The,
It's just so tough. Like I know it keeps going back to Joe Burrow, but like I'll say Tom Brady. Like say next year Tom Brady's like this is 1010% my last year.
yeah.
He goes out there and this is we're one major into the CDL season.
Mm-hmm.
We're a major in some online shit into the season. Like this is like Tom Brady goes out there week 4, tears his ACL. That's his career. And you're just like, "Bro, what?"
Yeah.
Like that's how this is gonna end?
Yeah. It
Like, come
sucks.
on. Like
It
like I like you're mentally prepared for the end because you were prepared like you were told to prepare for it.
uh-huh.
But you're not ready for the train to just completely derail
Yeah.
on the way to the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
And
that's what sticks out to me the most is like Scump didn't want it to end like this. We didn't want it to end like this. Nobody did.
I
Like not a single person in the CDL wanted it to end like
no, I don't
this.
think Hex and the upper management of OpTic wanted it to end like this, but it's what happens, man.
Yep. Competition.
Once you start getting business involved in this level of things, it just is what it is. Um, I guess we're just gonna end it here. Best of luck to everybody in OpTic. Best of luck to Scump
Optic
moving
forever.
forward. You're the GOAT, man. I just want you to know that fucking if you do watch this, you have done so much for me and my friend Stolzy here. And you always have the support of the people at Your House Our Rules. Brick by brick, we're going to keep building this wall here and there. I love y'all. This has been Your House Our Rules. Peace.
Dream wall, baby.